3, 2, 1. Do.
The mighty Devine.
Yeah. What's up, Devine?
How's it, guys? How's it doing? I'm good, and you?
No. We're good. All right. All right, Lee.
Sharp, man. How's the week?
No. Sorry for pulling you out of your sound check like that, guys. Can you see he's even sweating? But hey, drop him for you. This guy has too many things on his plate. But today we've got Devine, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we've got ladies on this channel, but I think just in case,
I'm sure it's like
one or two.
I'm gonna tune us.
Oh yeah, maybe, and not there's male, females, and LGBTIQ plus. Everybody. All protocol observed. I don't want people to feel like we're locking people out. Today we've got Devine Mitchell. Are you good, my brother? How's everything?
I'm surviving, man. I'm alive. This is my proof of life.
Yeah. and that's what's important.
Yeah, the little things. I think this season has made us grateful for very simple things like just being alive,
Yeah, and being able to breathe nicely without issues.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. I'm grateful that so today, which is Friday, everybody's gonna see this on Saturday, but today I went to go take my jab. I'm not promoting, by the way. No? Don't feel like I'm promoting. Don't feel like I'm promoting.
You are like two-minded about the thing.
I still am, but I mean, I've got a gig. I need to go to Dubai, so it's a simple. It's one of So they're hitting us with that thing, no jab, no water. So now I'm like, I think I will jab, and I'll tell the rest how I feel.
Just make sure it's
it's
just
Pfizer.
make sure you are fully vaccinated.
No,
he's not yet fully vaccinated.
Yes, and I'm not going to be
the second vaccine.
Yes, and I'm not going to be fully
going to wait for like 2 weeks.
No, it's supposed to be like 4 weeks? It's 40 days or something like that.
No, for the second one, yes, but then for you to be fully vaxxed, as Devine mentioned, you have to wait after the second jab for like a week or so.
Oh,
might be wrong.
No, either way, I don't care. Okay, cool. Sorry, we just detoured a little bit. But Devine, for the few people who don't know who Devine Mitchell is, how would you introduce yourself to them?
Hey, man. Devine Mitchell is a South African citizen, husband, father, musician, child of God, songwriter, producer. That's maybe that in a nutshell.
And you do a lot of other things like digital marketing and you read books.
Yeah, I've been delving for a while actually in a lot of different things outside of the music space, but music has been a big part of my journey for a long time. For the last, I would say, 10, 15 years, it's been predominantly music. Yeah.
Okay, so how were you as a child? What kind of a child were you?
Well, I grew up in a very religious home, like a lot of musicians in our space, I would think. Church was basically a big part of my life, Well, weekends was a given. It was church, it was rehearsals on a Saturday, Sunday was church, midweek rehearsals. So my musical journey started around age 12. So that's basically consumed a big part of my life. I was actually active in sports as well from the age of, from the beginning of my school career up till probably the last part of my high school career. Took part in, very active in sports as well. Outside of the music space, I did a lot of sports, played a lot of street soccer, so I was very active.
Okay.
Yeah, so church, sports, that was basically my
childhood.
my time, yeah, my childhood, yeah.
So as a sorry, as a I'm actually trying to get also to the backstory of music, you and music. How did you decide, hey, me, I think I want to, play guitar? Was guitar your first instrument, Jay? You just, what happened? What was the backstory? Did you see someone playing? Yeah, anything, yeah. Now you're doing rehearsals, but if you go back, and you're sitting, I want the backstory to your reason and the first day you were like, you know what? Yeah, music, and you saw money dollar signs or you saw whatever signs, in your eyes, like, I want this thing.
For me, it was different. It was always a passion. My mother tells me stories about how I used to play guitar on everything I could find in the house, whether it's the lid of a pot or a Tupperware container.
Yeah.
Anything that creates some sort of a rhythm, I would be playing either air guitar or playing on something.
Okay.
So I've always thought about it. Why guitar? It was just automatic. I think it was just meant to be. I think that's the instrument that stood out the most for me. Yeah, I remember as a 10, 11-year-old, always being infatuated with the guitarist in any band. Was church, I would, after church, people are going out, I would be walking towards the stage.
Okay.
just to have a closer look,
Yeah.
Back then,
good, man.
Yeah. So information wasn't that readily available as it is now. But I had to sort of run after the guitarists at church and just sort of try and steal a few chords, visually. I would sort of try and imagine or take a mental picture of
the
fingers, and then I get on. By that time, I didn't have a real guitar.
Yeah. So you're air guitaring, but you have no reference.
Yeah. So by the time I think I remember, I think I was around 12, 13, asking my mom for the guitar, bought me guitar, and I think it took around maybe 6, 7 months,
Yeah.
She kept saying, yeah, I'll get it. But, obviously being raised by a single mom, those are not the kind of things I could just easily afford.
Sure.
So I still remember clearly the day she came with it. It was in a triangle box, and I saw her at the gate, like through the window.
Yeah.
So my heart. I just knew that was a guitar. I just knew it was a guitar. We carried it in the bus on the way back from work. And I remember running out to help her at the gate to carry all the stuff. She was carrying a bag and carrying this guitar in the box. And dude, that night I didn't sleep.
It
was me and that guitar, figuring out how to make it sound good. But then I didn't know any chords yet, so.
Did you know how to tune it at least?
I didn't know nothing. The only thing I knew was rhythm. I could strum.
Yeah.
So just, I could create some sort of a rhythm, but hey, the left hand was doing it. But luckily, because of my passion, I think in about a month from the time I got it, I think I could play all the basic chords, just by watching, guitarists and getting access to a book. We managed, myself and my cousins, we managed to get access to a book that had very basic chords in, like your C, your E, those open chords. So I think that first week I didn't sleep. I remember my mom coming to my room at like 2 a.m. and be like, hey,
school tomorrow.
So, and also besides that, there was the noise, in the beginning stages, you're not making sense, you're just making noise for everyone.
Sure. Makes sense. I hear you.
That vibe. Yeah, and then I think around age 13, 12, 13, because I learned in a very short space of time. Because I was so determined. I started playing in church. So they gave us a gap. The guys at church, it was old guys playing there. Yeah. But by then we were already on their level. So
okay.
They gave us some gap. I could just play a few songs, the basic stuff. And then eventually my uncle took us for some lessons at some guy that was a little bit more advanced than us.
Mm.
So he taught us some more fancier chords and ways of playing songs. So, and I think in the space of a year's time, I was playing like in church already.
Yeah.
Playing at funerals, playing at weddings, you know.
Traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was actually pushed at the time I was still at school. So it really affected my lifestyle. So all the other stuff like soccer and sports sort of took a little bit of a seat. Yeah. And started listening to other genres like fusion, and I discovered guys like Foreplay and George Benson. Up until then, the only thing I was exposed to was gospel music. So.
Yeah. That's all you play.
Yeah.
No.
In church, we started doing weddings and realizing, hey, there's other songs that we can also play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, weddings for you were the thing that opened your mind up.
The first gigs.
Yeah. Those were the first gigs, but I'm sure they were not paying. It was for church.
That was the last thing on my mind is money.
I just wanted to play.
I just wanted the guitar and the stage. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
my first gig was a funeral.
Oh, really?
Oh. Are you serious?
My mom was like, "You bring this guitar, you playing tonight." But then I wasn't even sure of my chords.
Yeah.
She was like, "Tonight you're playing, bring your guitar." Hey, I was embarrassed because now I knew I was bimbering. So she didn't care, man. I was there right in front. Everyone was watching me like.
Nice, man. No, I'm sure they also didn't know, man. I mean, if you were like, what, 12, 13 around this time?
12, 13, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this time. What's that, Lee?
Yeah.
But he knows his chords by then.
Yes, but even if you're bimbering.
I wasn't confident. I wasn't that confident. Yeah, I was still, not sure whether it's supposed to be a 4 or a 5,
Yeah, I know that vibe. I know that you know chords, but you don't know which one to play. So you couldn't really make the decision to say this. But, when they say, what's that? Is that a
I'm on
4?
5, man. I'm on 5.
You're already on 5.
The wasn't there.
Yeah, I needed some time. All right, Lee, jump in.
So in the colored community, was the guitar a predominant instrument? Like you could play it alone?
Look, guitar was a big thing in our community. It was the measuring stick in a lot of ways, and I have vague memories of, my dad bringing friends around, and he would call me and be like, play something on guitar, and Jonathan Butler was a big thing. Like if you could play Seventh Avenue of Jonathan Butler, I know this boy, he can play.
Yeah, he can play.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they say, like this one he can play. I'll take him to Joburg.
Yeah. So guitars was a big thing for us. In fact, a lot of our Pentecostal songs was played on guitar. Tente.
Yeah.
It used in that. Space, it used to be keyboards, but for us it was guitar.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you had guitar, you do an all-nighter, you could do an all-nighter with just guitar, and you don't miss anyone else.
I would not. That's interesting. Is that thing still a thing? Or
it's
not
still a thing in some of the more conservative Pentecostal churches, the smaller ones that have. We call it Klaskamer Kerke. It's like classroom churches where guitar is a big thing. In fact, they don't want anything else.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's like with other churches, organs are the thing.
Just have organ, trying to get it.
And I mean, and keyboards, the tent, as you're saying, with the tent is like that one keyboard that's gonna drums here. They don't want your drums. They don't want those drums. Yeah. They want these drums here. Yeah.
So that was keyboard. In that case, keyboard by us, it was guitar. It's like strumming. You play one song for 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
So by the time you got into the industry, the chops were okay. As far as chops.
I think that's part of the reason why I knew chords. I know a lot of guys complain that guitarists don't know chords. So for me, that was my background. I used to be a one-man band for a very long time, playing chords. So I only transitioned late into starting to play lead and improvisation stuff in a band setting. So my first 3-4 years I was strictly playing chords.
Okay. Rapidly. Is Lee frozen? Oh, yeah.
Is my connection okay? I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, it's a bit late, but
I think so.
Yeah, but we can hear you.
Hey, man, this connection is playing games with me.
I can see it. There's a big delay.
I want to check. Yeah, there's a big delay. After high school, were you still interested in the guitar, or was the sports more into it now?
No, sports faded out in high school. I think I was in grade 10. And also, you discovered girls around that time.
Yeah, so, discoveries.
Yeah, ethics and streets of that.
Discovery.
Yeah, so but music has always been there. Between youth on a Friday, doing youth camps and playing all over the show. And after school, I went to varsity, did 1 year BSc. After that, I went to do my apprenticeship through the South African Blood Service as a medtech.
Okay.
So that was I didn't go straight into music after school. So I actually worked for the SA Blood Service as a medtech for about 4 or 5 years.
Really?
While doing gigs on
wow.
I did gigs on the side. So I qualified around 2000. Then I worked for another 4 or 5 years. But because I was working shifts, it was shift work, working in the lab, shift work, and there was a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
So if I had a gig, I would just ask someone, hey, just cover for me, I'll work for you, that kind of a thing. So I did that for about 4 years, and in that space of time, I played for Simpiwe Dana, for Kate, I played for a lot of people. Yeah. So if I needed to work and I had a gig, I would just arrange. So my supervisors were very understanding in that way.
So how difficult then was it for you to make the transition to now become a full-time musician?
I actually thought about it for around 2 years when I started getting booked a lot more. But the final decision sort of came around 2005, late of 2005. I was actually, when I got the Malaika gig, I was still working. Strange enough.
And that was a busy gig.
It was a very busy gig. So around December, I had exhausted my leave, because what I would do is when I had a gig and I knew it was during work time or I needed to rehearse or something, I would just put in leave. Like I said, my supervisor at the time was very understanding, so they would be cool. Yeah, but eventually the Malaika gig got so busy, I needed to make a decision. Am I gonna hold this job or am I gonna go music, full time? So December of 2005, I had to make a decision, and then I quit that job.
Okay.
And it was because I thought about it so long, it was actually like a 24-hour notice kind of a thing.
Oh, really?
I'm like, guys, on Monday I won't be back. That was I think it was a Friday.
Okay. Yeah. So from Monday onwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Malaika was moving that time. We were working, I think, just about every second day.
No, I remember.
It was a very busy.
I remember that gig very well. Lee, go for it. I don't know if you're cool, your line.
So
that's good.
We
didn't get that.
Because of music.
Your line is bad. We didn't get your question.
Oh, sorry.
Repeat the question.
I was asking, he exhausted his leave because of music.
Yeah. Did you get the question, Devine?
No, I didn't hear.
He was asking that you exhausted all your leave because of music.
Yeah, basically. So I kept taking 1 day, 2 days, that kind of a thing. Although I did have a lot of, because of the way my shifts was, my times were structured, I had a lot of freedom. But eventually, that sort of caught up with me, and my superior at the time was like, "Hey, man, you need to decide what you're gonna do. Are you gonna hold on to this job, which I recommend?"
Yeah.
But I can see you're very caught up with this music thing, so you just need to make a decision. So that's the decision I took, 2005, and then
Tell me, also.
Yo, it's been a long time, man. Actually, 16 years.
It is. It's 16 years since you made that decision. But now I want us to go back a little bit. Okay, right now you're busy around 2005, 2006, you're even leaving work. But I think there's a piece I want us to get into our story of how do you now get into the professional scene? Who's the plug? Which are the people? Who are the people who's the person that says, "Hey man, Devine, listen, there's a thing happening, come to baseline," and now you realize there's baseline or downtown. I don't know where you practiced.
Oh man.
After you taking a leap of faith.
Yes.
It was. And the baseline, I think baseline became like my home.
Yes.
I mean, we met each other there. At some point, I was actually getting other gigs at baseline while waiting for another,
That's dope. But who the first person that calls you up?
Wow, I actually don't really recall how it happened. It became like a very snowball. It became like a snowball effect at some point. But if I had to think back, I think my first transition out of church, because up until then, I was doing mostly church. I think the early 2000s, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. I think 2003, 2002, 2003, I did clubs.
Okay.
I did a lot of cover stuff with like your Denims and, a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I think we played together with Simply 4 as well.
Yes. Yeah. You played some of those things.
So that was my intro basically to the music industry, where I was doing a lot of club sessions. And I think during that stage as well, I was also frustrated with church because, how it was, where you ask for things and
small things.
Like just buy an amp.
So it became a thing. Yeah, that's a
now
it's about time to look for.
It was a little bit of a rebellion in a way.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm just gonna go and play the music that I want to play. So it started with corporates, and we're doing like then I was still working. So what I would do is I would play a 3-set show at the club. We finish at around 4 a.m. And at 7 o'clock I'm at work.
Yes. Where did you get that energy?
I think I was just younger. Passion.
Yeah.
Because I would report for work at 7. I report for work at 7. I'm on the bench in my lab coats doing, and by then the type of work I was doing was very serious. If I make a mistake there, somebody dies.
Ish. Crazy.
Because we were doing compatibility testing to make sure pregnant mothers and people that are involved in accidents or stabbed or whatever accident, they get blood transfusions and that kind of thing. So we were the point of contact to make all of that happen for the doctors. So we were working on a weekend. It was 12-hour shifts. So I'd finish that gig at like 4 a.m. Get home at 5 a.m. Have like 2 hours, and then 7 o'clock I'm back at work for a 12-hour shift.
Yes. Go for it, Lee.
Hi, brother, man. You worked a lot. You worked through your youth. You worked. Now it's music here and there.
Yeah.
Did you like the club gigs?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it taught me a different angle. Because my after gospel music, I took a very strong liking to jazz. You know, so I would check jazz.
Oh yeah.
And became very infatuated with playing like a lot of deep jazz stuff. So when I got into the club scene, or I would say the cover scene, cover band scene, we did a lot of pop music, you know, the Michael Jackson stuff, or everything that was popular on the radio we were playing. And you needed to be very disciplined. So those guys, they didn't want all the chops. They didn't want all the chops. They just wanted you to play the music the way you hear it on the album. So it sort of grounded me a bit, you know, to just play what was needed. So when I transitioned from that vibe to a lot more of the gospel stuff, but before then, before I got into the gospel space, I started playing with KB. I think that's one of my sort of first original artist gigs, I think. Also played with Bianca Lagrange. It was a Idols runner-up. So we did a lot of corporate stuff with her. It's sort of my first few years playing like original music, you know, with an artist. Was around that time, I think 2006. Actually earlier than that, yeah. Actually earlier than that. Oh. So from the club scene, playing pop music. Sorry, say again, Lee?
Did you get to do Barnyard?
I never got to do Barnyard because I think I became so busy, man, that I didn't really have a chance to consider it even. And
I see.
I just always had something happening, you know. If it wasn't gospel, it was pop music. If it wasn't pop music, it was there was always something. So I think for me, gospel really started around 2008, 2009 with Solly, with that album. That was sort of my intro to gospel because I met Bafana at Simpiwe Dana. I played with Simpiwe Dana for, I think, almost a year. And
nice, that was a nice gig.
It was a nice gig. It was a stressful gig, but it was very nice.
Should I say why it was stressful?
I'm sure.
Hey, man.
I don't know, but something just tells me I know what made that gig stressful. I'm not sure, but hey, I don't know.
With Bafana there.
No, but Bafana was not the stress.
No. Not at all.
No, he was like...
Bafana was not the stress. Yeah.
It was a very interesting, she's a very interesting artist. Yeah, so... I must actually tell the story of how I left that gig.
Yeah, please.
Come on.
Well, I wouldn't say I left that gig. I think I was fired.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure if I left.
You think?
Yeah, tell the story.
But anyway, you know, she was. I think at the time, because of all the hype around her, she was very territorial. So she wanted to rehearse all the time, and we would end up rehearsing all day. We were rehearsing even though there was no gig.
Yeah.
At some point.
Oh.
So yeah, I think there was a KB gig that came up, and that gig happened on a day when she wanted to rehearse, or there was a rehearsal also scheduled. So in my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm dropping a gig for a rehearsal.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did the KB gig. It was a big gig. I think it was actually the gig we did when Tamia was in the country.
Okay.
It was a big gig for KB, but on that day of the gig, they wanted to do a rehearsal. So I was like, I'm not just gonna dump the gig for one rehearsal. And besides that, we know the music.
Yeah.
So I went to do the gig. So obviously it was sour grapes after the gig when when the next gig was due with Dana. So you know, it wasn't just me, it was me and the bassist as well. I think it was Alvin. So we were invited, we were summoned to come to the house for a meeting.
Yeah.
So anyway, you went. I didn't go for the meeting because I was like, you must just tell me what you want to say.
Oh, again.
Yes. Yeah, via SMS or something.
Yeah. So you went, and before I was planning to go, I was like asking him for feedback to say what was the meeting about? He was like, hey, I was told that I need to play like 3 gigs for free if I still want this gig.
What? Crazy. Just for missing a rehearsal.
Missing a rehearsal. And when I got that feedback, I was like, I'm considering myself fired with immediate effect.
Yeah, you're firing yourself. No, you see, I think I'm fired.
Yeah. And also besides then, there was other issues. There were other issues of Mula and getting it on time. So by then I was already, one step, out of the door. So
yeah, so she at least assisted you nicely.
Yeah, but the music was nice, man. Playing the music part of it was, we had some good shows, and wherever we went, the music was well received. But it was just that other thing.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not saying she's the elephant. I'm just saying, it's a figure of speech.
But it wasn't actually her. I think I could manage her, in fact. And I think if I think about it now, I think she was a lot nicer to me than she was to the other guys.
Oh, okay.
I think what made it hectic, she had this boyfriend that was managing her.
Okay.
And that guy was on another level. The way he used to fight with the band.
Crazy.
He would, do weird stuff like scream at the guys at gigs and,
Yeah, he went.
And yeah, it became awkward at some point. So I was like, I don't know, this vibe is not healthy. I love playing this music, but it's not going to work.
It's not working. Silver cup is broken.
Yeah.
So, let's go to Lee. Lee, I hope this slide is going to be okay for you to do what we need to do right now. Because Lee I think he's frozen, isn't he? He looks frozen, doesn't he? I think he looks frozen.
I'm going to see him now.
No, I can see him, but it's fine. I think maybe let me just carry on with the questions. We'll come back to that other thing that I wanted to ask him. So tell me, man, now you're playing with Abo Toli, you're in the gospel space, but even before that, I think one thing that I've seen is that normally you'd normally be the only person that talks English, and the next everyone understands Zulu or something vernacular like that. I'm asking this because I was personally affected by a similar thing when I did what's that Simply Fourth gig. The Simply Fourth gig was difficult for me because you guys would just break into Afrikaans and we're driving to Rustenburg. We're driving to Rustenburg and it's Afrikaans the whole way. I'm like, it's like, how are you coping? So how are you coping with everyone talking Zulu all along, and you're in the band and you're just quiet there, smiling? Do you understand them? Did you understand them? I know you understand now, but did you understand them all along?
Look, in the beginning, it was a bit of an issue, but I think I got into it very quick because it was a thing of me adjusting. I think it wasn't. I realized that it wasn't fair for me to expect other people to adjust and be who they are not, at my expense. So I caught on very quick, and for me, it actually became very interesting because then it gave me a chance to learn, And the Zulu that's spoken, in a band setup is also not that pure one, that you read in books. So it gave me a chance to pick up a lot of slang and be able to eventually figure out the entire conversation by myself, just by listening.
Until you started working with, the Zulu guys that are from KZN. You know, those don't hit our Zulu. It's a different Zulu, that's why.
Yeah. And those ones, they don't care, man. It's just for the...
It just
it stopped bothering me a long time ago. So I think it wasn't even something to think about. It was just normal, you know, that, you know, eventually I would also just started throwing my Afrikaans in the mix there, and they would ask me, what are you saying?
Taste of your own medicine.
So it became a vice versa thing. It was actually nice, man, because, you know, it's where else would you have, you know, people from different cultures and backgrounds, you know, mixing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we spent hours and hours on the road, I mean, you know, so I just needed to adapt and, you know, and learn and vice versa. So, and the guys were also very interested in how things were done in our community. The language, they'd be like, hey, how do you say this thing in Afrikaans?
Yeah. So it was great. It made it better that everybody was not just receptive, but also genuinely cared about, you know, also where you come from, your world. Yeah. So it made the environment better.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, a lot of the guys from my side of things, you know, the guys that from the you know, the colored neighborhoods, they would ask me at some point, you know, hey man, how do you fit in? Don't you feel like out at some point because of the language barrier, and maybe there's a cultural barrier? For me, it was like, no, it just became a normal thing after a while, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice it, you know.
Yeah. Like I also find myself not noticing it because I just Khoi Zulu, and then after a while, like, hey, you know, because sometimes, you know, it's not the same. If I'm telling a joke in Zulu, it's not the same if I'm going to translate. Then, you know, I'll be like, hey, Devine, no, it's not going to be the same, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I always took it as a challenge to learn. Like if I didn't know what people were saying, it would be like, and you know, if the guys are laughing too loud or too long, I'd be like, I know, someone must explain now.
I now need an interpreter just for this joke.
Yeah, but I picked up a lot of phrases and, you know, a lot of the language just by being around the guys off stage, you know, doing rehearsal in the road.
I think I've got a couple more questions. You know, they're not here, but I want to talk to you about them. So with regards to, you know, church and musicians, also young musician, old musician, I want us to talk about these two things, but in different, you know, sorry, that's my phone. I want us to talk about older and younger musicians because there's that gap that's happening. There's a vibe happening between, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I think there's always a vibe around older musicians and younger musicians. And, you know, sometimes younger musicians feeling like, no, older musicians, you know, they want to be hero worshipped or whatever. And older musicians feeling like, no, but these cats don't really, you know, pay attention to some of the things that maybe, or, you know, you'd like to share with them. So my question is, have you seen the gap or the rift that might be there between younger and older musicians? Is it a thing? Is it a thing that you've witnessed yourself? And how do you feel about it? Because I think, as I always talk about these things, I always feel like there is something that we must do, all of us, together to kind of maybe bridge the gap, you know. But before we get there, let me just get your sense. Have you felt it, or you have not even seen anything like that?
It's definitely there. I think even from our side, when we came into that space, there was another generation before us.
Yeah.
I think, but what I think is different now, I think our generation was a little bit more appreciative, you know, of the guys that went before us, you know, and I think now I think the priority is a bit different. We were sort of more appreciative of how the guys did it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think this new generation is sort of like more, how's the word? It's not like sort of have it figured out already kind of thing. I can put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think bridging the gap, there's something about experience that is you can't really substitute.
Sure.
You know, irrespective of the skill level and those kind of things. But yeah, yeah.
So, what do you think is the cause of this? Do you think what do you think is the cause of this? I don't just want to single out technology and YouTube, but I think it is there, for people to get information. Do you think that it's the amount of information that younger musicians have that makes them feel like maybe older musicians, don't know what I know, and therefore there's no reason why I need to respect the older one?
Yeah, I think that has a role to play. The access to information. When we were coming up, we needed that information. We couldn't just get it from anywhere. But now in this age that we are in now, information is accessible, easily, a lot more easily. So in some sense, from the information point of view, they don't really need another generation, for that information, because they can find it from anywhere.
Yeah.
I needed to respect that older guy because I needed to get some chords from him.
Yeah. He was a reference. Yeah.
And right now, an up and coming doesn't really need to get that information from me. They can, but they also have a lot of other options to get it from.
It's just little.
You can get it from YouTube. You can get it from a lot of other places, from anyone around the world, actually.
Yes.
For us, it was the guy that lives in your area that can play. You needed to respect that guy because it's the guy that's going to put you on the map.
Yeah. No, true.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's a typical station.
Yeah, so I don't really have a problem with information being accessible now. I think it's just the experience thing. Like the other stuff, like how to tell the difference between industry and music, the music industry and the music business.
Yes. No, true. And also
that way, and I think in that way we can advise a lot of the guys on how to go about things.
Yeah, because also I think another thing is just application, because sometimes you find that, for example, what you're doing is great, but maybe the environment you're doing it in is not the one. And the only way you will know sometimes is through experience and not so much any other way. It's like you have to have done certain gigs or certain things for you to kind of know how to use this kind of information. Like, for example, one of the things I've found is that I see that there's not a lot of appreciation for genres. And when I say genres, I'm not just talking hip hop and house and gospel, because gospel is looked like that. It's looked at like this. Like, gospel is a genre, the hip hop is a genre. But if you think about it, gospel is not a genre, because gospel has many different things to it. You'll find a song that sounds Mpakanga like, which is a different vibe. So gospel on its own is not a genre. There's a lot of things. So there's something that could be borrowed from like a Zimbabwean kind of a vibe, in that song. But I mean, if you don't understand Zimbabwean music, then how do you then implement all of those little things? But I mean, it's bigger discussions that I feel, even to be honest, I don't think even our producers are even aware of these other influences that we maybe have to be looking at, even before we get to say younger musicians and saying, younger musician, older musician, but that whole thing of, being able to, getting back to what we were talking about, being able to advise a younger chap to say, bro, there's a thing, but like West Africa, check out this guy, Paco said, check out this guy, check out, so without this relationship between older and younger, little advices can't happen. I mean, one of the advices I got from Kaifas was, because I was like, hey, so that music you are making, Where are we gonna find it? I mean, because and it says the music is everywhere. Just go to the taxi rank. Traditional music is there. It's not live, it's programmed. But listen to where the programmer put the snare there. And this song is a hit. There's a reason why it's a hit. They put the snare there and the song is a hit. You are playing live. So go there, go back to that thing. So but what did it take? It took a conversation and asking an older musician, how did you guys do this thing? Which is what's not happening. But I really would hope that one day we get this conversation all the time, because it's not also to say that it's older musicians that are going to learn from younger musicians only. It's also, it's younger musicians learning from older only, also vice versa. Older musicians also learning from younger, because there's a lot of things we don't know as far as what is happening right now. I mean, there's a lot of subgenres that are there. But I want us to talk about gospel music, the church and musicians. That relationship was hurt a long time ago, but we can't run away from the fact that we need the church. As much as the church needs the musicians, but musicians also need the church. What has church done for you?
He left church though.
Yeah, no, so still, but he has an experience with it.
What caused the rebellion?
What causes the rebellion? I think it's a clash of perspectives, I would say, from both sides. I don't think you can blame one side only.
Yeah.
From my experience, I felt like I was reaching a ceiling in my earlier days, and I felt like I was not being accommodated, to grow beyond where I was. Because we were doing the same song. We're doing the same song, you ask for a simple thing like a cable and, we have a lot of meetings, board meetings for just to buy that one simple thing. So there's a few, all of those things, but at the same time, I think looking back now, I think I should have been a lot more patient and understanding. Because, back then in the early stage where you just, you're so passionate, it's just about you playing. It's about you, actually. It's actually about you and expressing your gift. And now that we're older, we're like, hey, actually, so what do these people need from me? What can I do? Now the perspective has changed. How can I maybe teach somebody else, to fill that space or that kind of a thing.
That's dope, man.
Yeah. I listened yesterday on a conversation that was heard by Aaron Smith. He's a drummer from overseas. He was talking about touring. If you're called for a tour or called for a gig and they give you a minimum pay that you didn't agree on, why do cats still allow that to happen instead of you saying what amount do you need? Because you live in your family, it's your time and all of that. So I was like thinking about this and saying, and then Devine came into the gospel industry and all the gigs were his. How did that impact you as a guitarist in terms of those communications? This is my pay, this is my time. How was your perspective along those lines?
For me, it was different because very far into my musical journey, even in the gospel space, I think even the money wasn't the big thing for me. Because I always had something to do. So, if somebody came to me with music that I liked and they just said, you know what, I don't have budget, I would still do it. Kind of a thing. But eventually it did become about the money. And I needed to think about, things like that. Like, how do I charge somebody for a project, And for me, it took me a while to get to a formula, but eventually I did, where I would think about, it wasn't just about my skill and the service I was delivering. For me, it also became about the time involved. How much time am I spending away from family, being on the road? So eventually I would, if somebody would ask me and it was a gig that would take me away from home for a week, you know, I would just charge more for that because, you know what I'm saying? So
when you get back home,
hey,
it's to be done.
Yeah. So the money thing is a sensitive thing because there's no real standard. I mean, even now, you know, if you had to book 10 different guys in the gospel music, they'd roughly give you different prices if you had to ask them what their cost is.
Yeah, ne?
So, I think we just needed to everyone needed to get to a stage where they think about themselves and what they bring to the project and so in terms of value, what am I bringing here in terms of time and what am I sacrificing in terms of time? And then you make your price and then you stick to it, you know. Like I say, we grow. If there was a time when I was doing just anything, you know, come with 500. If I'm available, I'm like, let's go.
But now,
1,000. Until eventually I needed to realize, hey, no, this is not healthy. Let me just make a price and roughly stick to that vicinity.
You're so calm. You're so calm and collected. I wonder how do you manage these kind of talks with your approach and
people don't let them pay. Yeah,
people not paying. How do you go after them?
Hey.
Is there contracts in place as a brand per se, or you just take their word for it and
put a swear word here and there?
Yeah.
Hey man, I think everyone that's a musician in this industry for the last 10 years has done gigs that they haven't been paid for.
Yeah.
So it's actually the premise of our industry is actually a weird one that I think even my wife doesn't understand. You know, 90% of what I've done was done in good faith. You know, somebody just promises that we'll pay you, and then you're like, okay, cool.
I'm coming.
And then I can't even think. I think I can count on probably on my 10 fingers the amount of times where I actually signed a contract to do something for somebody music-wise. Most of the time, it's actually been just a word-of-mouth agreement. No, and that's what our industry is based on. It's just it's based on goodwill.
Yeah. True.
Do you think that will change though? Goodwill is not good enough for some people.
For all of us.
It's not, and I've been in a lot of situations where guys have tried to change that status quo, and then they are perceived as being, you know, rebellious because why are you insisting about monies?
Like my family.
We are still busy with rehearsals. You're already talking about.
That's the best time. In fact, that's late.
Listen, don't forget
when we call each other. When we call each other is the best time. Yeah, it's like
it's slowly changed.
So when we're working, we're reminding each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like don't forget.
Like you remember, we said before stage. It's just a reminder. It's not a discussion. Yeah. It's not a meeting.
Yeah. Eventually became unspoken. I think became unspoken where you just, you know, we just like if you call me, you need to have that conversation at the same time in the beginning. Yeah, and then, you know, eventually, I think also because of what you've done, sometimes people respect your profile and they know that they must bring up that topic very early.
Sure. And right prices, because it's one thing to bring up the topic, but then you are still saying 1 point. Then you are seeing 1 point. You're bringing it up, but now you are bringing up wrong numbers. You see, so you must go home, do homework, understand profile, and then say, okay, so cheers.
I want this guy.
1 point.
Not only profile. Also, for me, it became about time because now we can't be talking about 1 point
Yes.
1.5, and then you want to have a week of rehearsals.
Imagine, bro. That's the sad thing about 1.5, because they want to give you 1 point, and then they want 3, 4 rehearsals.
Crazy. That doesn't work. It hasn't
Yeah,
worked.
so I think I needed to become smart as well over time. So before I give the prize, I need to know what is your timelines in terms of rehearsals and stuff like that. Because I don't want to agree to a figure that sounds a lot, but then you get a schedule. I once got a schedule from somebody of after I agreed to the fee, the rehearsal schedule was for the whole month.
Yo, my word. You must reevaluate. Yeah, no. So now you found a way around it.
Yeah, and you know what? Because I pulled out, now we'll be fighting because I pulled out and stuff like that. But so I think the whole thing could have been avoided if we just communicated properly from the beginning.
True.
You say, okay, this is what I'm offering for your service and also your time.
Sure. No, I'm with you. Lee, please jump in with that thing. Did you prepare those questions? Did you prep them?
Hey, man, ish. Yeah.
You didn't prep
One
them.
must go.
One must go. We've got a thing here.
One must go. Let's go.
One must go. Right. So basically, let me just let you know about it. One must go is basically it's going to give you 2 people. Like whatever, it could be 2.
Yeah, like you can jump in as well if you know. Like,
yeah, 2 whatever. And then basically he's gonna say you must choose the one that must go. Not the one that you are going to work with. The one that must go.
The one that must go.
Yeah, one must go. Yeah.
One must go.
Go for it.
Ready?
And are you ready, Devine?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So you sound like you're scared, my brother. You must be ready.
No.
You must be ready.
That's ready.
Go
I
for
hope
it.
my answers don't get me into trouble, but yeah, let's go.
It's a game. It's a game. They must just relax.
Yeah, man, it's a game. Like we want to see how things pan out.
Yeah. Go for it, Lee.
Simply Dana Sporas.
Hey, you see now.
Hey,
let's just
that
open
first
it up.
question is a problem already. I think Simply Watana must go.
Okay.
She must buy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Oh, you've played with Solly, right?
Yeah.
No, we won't do that.
No, we
can go there. We can
go
anywhere.
there.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Or TGC or Joy Celebration.
Say again?
TGC, Twane Gospel, or Joy Celebration.
Who must go?
Ish.
Don't start with that.
Hey, Twane, I think must go.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I think Twane must go.
Is that in terms of partnerships or the brand itself?
Ish. Well, I've been sort of affiliated to both. I've never played for Joyous, but obviously a lot of the guys there I've worked with. It's because of an incident that happened with Twane, which I don't want to disclose, but
which happened.
That's why we have this game.
Yeah. So that particular one is personal.
Yeah. You've got the right to reserve. You've got the right to reserve, especially those ones. We don't want people to come in and get you in Kabi. They're waiting for you when you're trying to get into your house. They're like, hey,
imagine.
No, yeah. Last one.
Upili or Santa Castin?
Say again?
Billy or Santa Castin?
Billy or?
Santa Castin. Castin, the guitarist. Nigerian guitarist. Castin.
Is it okay?
That's a tough one.
They're both guitarists.
That one is not fair.
No, well, it's just You have a gig.
You're not buying something from
Who
either
must
one
go?
of them, like Mpume.
It must not be easy. Yeah, everyone was like, they find it difficult one.
Mpume was like, no, I'm buying an M from this guy. You can't do that.
So now it's your turn. Let's go.
Okay, I think Augustus must go.
Okay, it's done. And we're not going to make you feel any funny.
No, it's a game. There's a disclaimer, it's a game.
Everybody will understand it's a game. So I don't know how many other questions you've got. We have to, bring it to a close. How many do you still have me?
Cool.
I'm
good, man.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So you've traveled quite a bit. What has traveling done for you, Devine?
Yeah, man, I wish I can do a lot more of that. I think I'm blessed in the way that I've seen most of South Africa more than once. So it changes your worldview. Me being from Joburg, growing up in Joburg, we think most of us, we think the whole of SA is like Joburg.
Sure.
And I think I've been exposed to different ways of life, the way people live, in rural SA and places outside of Joburg. And, being a muser, when people hear that you're from Joburg, they almost treat you or consider it's like you are from America or something in some places. But it's been humbling for me, to appreciate what we have. Just by virtue of the fact that so many musicians have to come to Joburg to make it in the music industry. It made me appreciate the fact that I've never had to leave my home to go anywhere.
Sure.
I'm from Joburg, and I was blessed to work in the industry, but I never had to really sacrifice where I come from to do that.
I hear you.
And a lot of guys that live like their homes in Cape Town, in Durban, come to Joburg, just to be able to work. So traveling made me very appreciative of what I do and what I have, and exposed me to different faces of South Africa in terms of the people. Because, if you come from one place and you've never been outside of it, you think that everyone thinks the same way. Made me realize how rich we are in terms of culture, even outside of the music, and just the way people live. So traveling changes your whole worldview, not just besides the fact that it made me appreciate what I have and what I was able to do in the music space. Because a lot of people ask me, how did you do it? How did you do it? For me, it felt like it happened automatically. But for somebody that's talented in some rural place in, Zanin, or for them to be able to make it in the music space, as talented as they are, they have to, a lot of the time, they have to come to Joburg. So traveling really opened my eyes in that way to see that there are a lot of guys that have talent, that have the know-how, but they don't have the opportunity that we have, us being here in Joburg.
Yeah. And what is your dream for the industry?
My dream for the industry is, first of all, that government would take us a lot more serious, which they are not. I think that we will become more structured in terms of how we do things, because you know how it is, man. When as much as we worked, when it was time for us to go to the banks and apply for houses and cars, we were not really taken seriously.
No, we don't exist.
So I'd like for more of us in the industry to embrace the music side of things. I've been in the music industry for, I would say, roughly 15, 16 years on a full-time basis. But I've only been in the music business for, I would say, the last 4 years. I only signed a publishing deal maybe 4 years ago, which is very bad. So my advice to newcomers into the industry would be to lock down that aspect of things, you know. Make sure you are well versed in the music industry, which focuses on your craft and your musicality and stuff like that. But at the same time, make sure you have the music business locked down. If you're going to depend on it for your livelihood, if you're going to depend on it for your livelihood.
Cool. Lee?
My phone says my battery is dead.
Is it dead?
I just wanted to check. Did you do that Simpiwe Dana gig in Germany?
No, that happened after I left. So I missed out on a good opportunity because I didn't want to do 3 gigs.
You were kicked out.
I actually wish I stayed after that Germany. When they did that all European tour, you know, it was like, ish, I should have stayed, man.
I should have stayed.
But now that boyfriend was used by the devil.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You've got another question, or should I just hit my last one? Okay, cool. So if you were to go back to your 12-year-old self, interesting, because you were also 12 really when you started. What advice would you give yourself?
I would say take music a lot more serious, in the sense that not to treat it as casually as I think I did, looking back now, and also impart more of what you know.
All right.
Impart more of what you know, and like I said, pay it forward. I would tell myself as well.
Yeah.
Because I think for a big part of when I think about it now, I think for a big part of my journey, it was about me, you know, and who I can play for next and which project I can do next. So I think over time my perspective is changing or changed to growing the industry, not just growing my own space in the industry. That makes sense.
Makes too much sense.
As a whole, yeah.
It makes too much sense. No, thank you very much.
At the point where we are now, we are thinking about legacy, not just about passion. You know, passion is about you and how you express yourself in the musical space. But legacy is about what happens when you're no longer there. So who's going to talk about? Who's going to talk about what you did for them in this industry? You know,
in 2065.
Kind of a thing. So, that way I am. That's what I would tell myself, my 12-year-old self, I think.
I know. You'd really be deep to your 12-year-old self. I'm sure you'd be confused because a 12-year-old, like, it's like, Devine, what are you saying?
Rodman, you are being too serious. I'm only 12.
Yeah, you'd be saying that to yourself. Rodman, chill. Relax, Rodman. Relax. No, but thank you very much, man. It was a beautiful one. Absolutely loved this episode. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, man. Thank you so much.
No, siyabonga. Diva.